Hi, and welcome to this week's True Crime live stream. If you're new here, hello, I'm FEARSONA. You can call me Fear, you can call me Sona, and I'm your friendly neighborhood True Crime VTuber, here to give you full body chills, and here to go over a pretty unique case this week. Mind you, after this case, I'm just gonna sleep like a baby, not because the case wasn't disturbing, and not because I'm like desensitized by to crime by now. No, it's because this case was long, messy, complicated, and all around annoying, and I'm tired. Been working on the notes for the past 2 days, and yeah, I'm done. Like, after this case, I am done for like 2 days. I need to rest. But hi, how are you guys doing? Let me just say hi to everyone in the chat. I can see Kronos teaching you guys, letting you guys know to follow the chat rules. Please do read the rules and follow them to a T. And I can see Silverjack, hello. All right, shot in the dark. Was it the Pope that did the kidnapping? Well, there is some shade on the Pope in this story. So we're gonna get to that. But I can see Roy the Goatman. Hello, I love your username as always. I can see Colonel Turtle and Nicholas Hawley. Hello, Demon Taker, Brian Garza, DeJohn Active. Hi. Who else? Gary Benson. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, but hi. Thank you so much for tuning in. Undead Rabbit is here. Sunny Rainy Day is here. MK the Hedgehog. Hi. Sonuka? Is it? Oh, wait, am I pronouncing it correctly? Well, if I'm not, I apologize. And Jade Empire, hello. And Whittier X60, hi. This is my first stream. I love your concept. Was catching up on your past streams earlier. That's great. I hope you like it. I hope you will also enjoy today's case. And yeah, I mean, you will be probably disturbed as much as I was. And yeah, it's gonna stay with you for... Just be warned. Just be warned. It was the bishop. It was a lot of things. But yeah, okay. So, the Vatican, the Holy City, the Pope land, if you will. I feel like there's something shady going on there every other day. Like, don't you guys feel that way? Like, every other day we get like a new article about like, oh, the Vatican is doing XYZ. Oh, there's this conspiracy and Illuminati and I don't know, whatever else. But if you don't believe me, today's case is yet another one with a lot of conspiracy tied to the Roman Catholic Board of Directors. But, okay, enough with the jokes. Now, let me dive right into this case. Because it has been 40 years since the dramatic events played out in the Vatican City. The mystery of the missing Vatican girl continues to live on in the minds of many people in and outside of the Holy City. A 15-year-old girl disappears without a trace, and suddenly no one can tell like what happened, what had happened to her, where is she, who is responsible. Not one person can actually like with 100% certainty answer that question. And thus begins the decades-long investigation, media frenzy, decades-long suspicions and conspiracy theories, and decades-long heartbreak of the family. This is the story of Emanuela Orlandi. So it was Wednesday, June 22nd, 1983. You know, just your regular day for the 15-year-old Emanuela, who lived with her family in the Vatican City in Italy. That day, just like every week, actually 3 times a week, Emanuela was going to attend a flute lesson at her music school in Rome, where she also attended her middle school. But this was summer vacation, and she only had the music school, like she continued with the music lessons in the summer. So usually she would take a bus from the Vatican City to Rome, get off after a few stops, and walk a couple of hundred of meters. But that particular day she was running late for classes, so she asked her older brother Pietro to drive her. mainly because it was especially hot that day and she was running late. But Pietro couldn't help her because he had other commitments. So Emanuela left home and like later, and she got on the bus and later that afternoon and went to school. So as far as we know, the afternoon passed by without any issues. At one point, Emanuela even calls home to explain that she isn't, like, why she isn't back yet. And one of her sisters picks up and tells Emanuela that she had been, like, she was going to meet with a representative of Avon who offered her a job. And oh my god, that pyramid scheme. Like, basically, if you don't know what Avon is just like yet another one of those companies like Herbalife, but with like cosmetics and perfume and jewelry, if I remember correctly. But their business model is basically works the same. So you can become a quote unquote consultant for them and basically try to get people to buy their products, and you will get a commission out of it. And then you can recruit other people to become consultants for Avon as well. And you will get some commission out of it too. But yeah, the stuff they sell is definitely questionable quality. Believe me, like, I know, because some of my family members, like, there was this time when everyone in Poland was like buying Avon too. And some of my family members would like also buy their products, and it was like meh. And it was like, yeah, it was shitty quality. And hell, my mom would buy their stuff, but good thing that she didn't even, like, she never got pulled into this scam. Although she was close, like, her friends would be consultants, and she would, like, they would try to, like, convince her to also be a consultant. But anyway, like, I'm straying from the main story here. Hate Avon. Yeah, I have hatred for Avon too. Okay, so here the reports are different about when exactly Emanuela met with the Avon representative. Some say that she met with this person shortly before her flute lesson. Others say that it was shortly after. But what later comes to light is that Emanuela spoke to one of her female friends at the end of the class and actually told her about the representative and the job offer, which would mean that she had already met with the Avon person by that point. That friend said that she left Emanuela at a bus stop and there was another girl with her. And then the last time Orlandi was seen, she allegedly got into a large dark-colored BMW. So then hours pass by and Emanuela doesn't come home. By 9:30 p.m. that day, so June 22nd, her parents and siblings get seriously concerned and decide to start searching for her in the school area and in the neighborhood where she would be taking the bus. They searched throughout the night, but didn't find her. And then the following day, on Thursday, June 23rd, Emanuela's parents make a phone call to the principal of the music school at 3 p.m. To request any information about their daughter from either teachers or classmates. They also called the police to report Emanuela as missing, but as it usually goes, the police tells them to wait, saying that, quote, perhaps the girl was with her friends. Stupid, irresponsible, simply presumptuous, not true. Why won't you do your goddamn job? Like, I don't understand. Every goddamn time, like, whenever I have a missing persons case, you guys, some of you guys probably know this and you've noticed and you know me by now. Every missing persons case or murder, oh god, I can't speak, or murder case, like, literally someone reports the person missing within, I don't know, an hour, 2 hours, like, because they are concerned to the police. And then the police tells them, like, oh no, like, you just have to wait. Like, just wait a little bit. They probably ran off, or they are with their friends. Or if it's a teenager, oh, they ran away from home, so we're not gonna treat it seriously because it's a stupid kid. So, yeah, definitely not a serious missing persons case. And that is a huge, huge mistake. Like, more often than not, it's like, yeah, you could have done something within those hours, within that crucial time, and you did nothing because you assumed that it's, you know, it's not a kidnapping case, or it's not like a serious missing persons case, it's something else. Like, I get it. Sometimes it happens. Like, it happens that kids run away from home, they are safe, or it happens that they just, I don't know, lose track of time and they don't check their phone and they just, there's no communication with them. But why risk it? Like, why, if there's a serious concern from the family, like, why risk, you know, assuming that it's nothing serious? Cosmetics and, oh yeah, the Avon cosmetics and skincare products mainly. Yeah, I remember vaguely it was like cosmetics, skincare. I think there was like some jewelry. Jewelry, yes, I hate that word. And there was some like perfume and all of that crap, and it was terrible quality. But okay. Wait, I'm just looking at the chat messages. Jordan Brown said, "Hello, I'm a big fan of your true crime videos. Thank you so much, and welcome to the stream. I hope you like the content, you like this stream, this case, and other cases that I've already covered. Yeah, I hope to see you again in the, you know, during my live streams." William Blowers, what can I say? We had a spaghetti. Well, no. Oh, it's the Italian. Okay, I can't do it. I can't do the fake Italian accent. I'm sorry, I can't. Yeah, better to be safe than sorry. Brian, yeah, absolutely. Like, I just don't understand. It's like so often, like in Poland, same thing. You report someone missing and they just tell you to wait. They're like, oh, it's probably not that serious. It's probably okay. No, it's not. That's not even the issue. The issue is that I'm concerned. Why won't you work with me? Why won't you, like, check on it just to be 100% sure that's your job? Anyway, so the police does eventually pronounce Emanuela Orlandi missing later that day. But according to the family, it was after hours and hours of pleading with the authorities to do so. So clearly they did it very unwillingly, and fuck those officers. I'm sorry, but like, do your job. Okay, so then the local media are informed of Emanuela's case and publish the announcement about her disappearance over the next 2 days in multiple newspapers, including the phone number to the Orlandi household. And then on June 25th at 6 p.m., the family receives a phone call from an alleged 16-year-old boy who introduces himself as Pierre Luigi. Pierre Luigi, and yeah, and Mario. Which, by the way, it's gonna be the next caller, so I'm gonna get to that. But anyway, Pierre Luigi says that on the day when Emanuela went missing, he and his fiance, I don't know why. Okay, so he was 16-year-old and then he had a fiance. I mean, this was 80s. Was that legal in Italy? I don't know. But he says like, oh yeah, him and his fiance or girlfriend, I have no idea. They met Emanuela Orlandi in Piazza Navona, which is this famous public square in Rome. He described Emanuela like exactly to a T, including the fact that she was wearing a pair of glasses that the parents also recognized because they knew that Emanuela really hated wearing those glasses. And he said that she was carrying a flute. And then Pierluigi claims that Orlandi did not introduce herself by the name Emanuela. She instead told them that her name was Barbarella. I think that's how you pronounce it. But Barbarella, I can't say it in like English accent. I can say it in Polish accent. So Barbarella. She proceeded to tell the couple that she had just run away from home and that she was an Avon consultant. Okay, to be fair, I don't know if this fact, about the Avon consultant thing, was published in the papers. That's the thing. Like, I was trying to search whether or not those papers within the 2 days from Emanuela going missing, if they had published that fact, like, oh, she met with an Avon consultant before or after classes. So I don't know if that information was made public or not. If it wasn't, then this caller clearly like knew something. And then on June 28th, another man called, introducing himself as Mario. It's a Mario. Okay, so he introduced himself as Mario. I don't know, is that a coincidence? Was Nintendo in on it? What's happening? But he introduced himself as Mario and said that he owns a bar somewhere. I don't know if this is real. Is this real? Like, they actually introduced themselves by the names from the Nintendo game? Okay, then. Okay, sorry, I digress. I just got so distracted by that. It's kind of funny. So Mario said that he owns a bar somewhere near Ponte Vittorio, a famous bridge in Rome that connects Rome to the Vatican City, and it's located between the Vatican City and Emanuela's music school. So he claimed that a customer introducing herself as Barbara or Barbara told him, which is close to Barbarella, by the way. I mean, you know. So Barbara told him that she again ran away from home, but said that she wanted to return to her family for her sister's wedding. And then on Sunday, July 3rd, even the Pope, at the time John Paul II, appealed to the public to come forward if they had any information about the girl's disappearance. He officially acknowledged that Orlandi was likely kidnapped. And after this announcement, the Orlandi family was swarmed with anonymous phone calls. Some were actually claiming that Emanuela was abducted by a terrorist group who wanted to release, to swap her, to exchange her for Mehmet Ali Akça. If you don't know who this is the man, the Turkish man who attempted to assassinate the Pope 2 years prior in May of 1981 and managed to shoot John Paul II, but obviously the Pope didn't die at the time, he survived. And then much later, Mehmet was actually pardoned by the Pope and he was released, I believe, in 2010. Okay, so one other caller was a man going by the alias The American, allegedly due to his accent. And he actually played the voice recording of what sounded like Emanuela's voice. Mind you, this was never confirmed if it was actually Emanuela or not. I assume it wasn't. And I assume the police just concluded that it wasn't Emanuela and it was fake. But he played what sounded like Emanuela's voice. A few hours later, another caller demanded an exchange. So again, Emanuela for Mehmet. And this guy mentioned the names Pierre Luigi and Mario as allegedly other members of the same terrorist group. I don't know. So I guess all of those callers were working together. And then on July 6th, another man with an American accent. I don't know if it was the same American or not. Some articles say that it was the same, the same man with the alias The American. So he called the ANSA news agency and again demanded the same exchange of prisoners. He said that within the next 20 days, a basket will appear in the public square near the parliament. And this basket will contain the photocopies of Orlandi's school ID, receipt of tuition, and a note handwritten by Emanuela herself as a proof that they in fact were holding her hostage. Whether or not this basket actually appeared, I honestly am not sure. It doesn't seem so because there's no more information. There's just the information that, oh, this person called. They said that a basket is gonna appear with those documents or the copies of the documents, and that's it. I couldn't find more information about whether this basket actually appeared or not. I guess not. Then another man with a Middle Eastern accent called one of Emanuela's friends, telling them again that they had 20 days to exchange Orlandi for Akça. He also demanded a direct phone line to be set up with the Vatican Secretary of State, who was the man called Agostino Casaroli. So during those, this phone line was set up And, you know, when it was set up, there were like at least 16 calls between the American and Casaroli. But there wasn't like, it was like basically the same talk. So the talk about exchanging Emanuela for Mehmet and so on and so forth. And like, oh, they wouldn't release her until Mehmet was, was freed. But okay, so this is going on, and a lot of people, you know, reading this case, they were asking about like, why would kidnappers think that Emanuela was important enough to the Vatican and the Pope for them to be willing to exchange her for Accha? And it sounds bad. I mean, of course, it was, you know, imperative to save her life by any means necessary, but like, why the connection? Why was she so important to the Vatican? So the Orlandi family was actually pretty close with the Pope. Emanuela's father was a Vatican clerk, employee, very, very close to the Pope, and the whole family would spend a lot of time in the company of the Holy Father himself. Growing up near the gardens of the Vatican, Emanuela's brother, Pietro, recalls that they would be playing in the gardens, and the Pope would just like stop by randomly on his stroll and like chat with them every now and then. They would meet with him, multiple times a week. They would just see him like casually. I don't know. He was like, I don't know. To them, like Pietro said, like, oh, to them he was kind of like grandpa. So he would say that they all thought that they were living in the safest place on the planet. Unfortunately, that's not true. You know, like nowhere. You're never 100% safe anywhere. Like even in your own house. But you know, I get why he would think that. You know, like you would never expect that something like this would happen. Let me just read some of the chats. Thank God for this timeline, or else I would be so lost. You are very welcome. I needed it too, because I was getting so lost in this case. I mean, sure, but wait. Okay, it would just make people cry and remember your name. It's not like killing your boss. What? Okay. Wario and Rosalie. Oh, okay. William Blowers, I heard that everyone was getting in on this game, so I demand 30,000 tons of hashish. Oh my god. I mean, probably everyone was like getting in on this game. For real, more true crime channels need to use a timeline. Actual professionals on YouTube refuse to put in the work to make a timeline. Yeah, I mean, I often I don't put in timeline, but sometimes like the cases, but that's mostly because like, oh, the case is not that confusing. This one, I needed the timeline because it was like so confusing. And I was like, okay, I need to keep track what was happening. Maybe they thought she was part of the Pope's family. Maybe. Like, they were definitely close. Like, the Orlandi family was definitely close to the Pope. I mean, you can see them in pictures, and there's, like, multiple pictures with, like, Pope meeting with the parents or meeting with Pietro, and that was, like, before the kidnapping, and he would, like, also have pictures with Emanuela and stuff, so, yeah, I mean, they were close. Okay, so then, later, Mehmet Ali Accha himself said that Emanuela had been kidnapped by the Bulgarian agents of the Grey Wolves, which is a Turkish nationalist, neo-fascist youth organization, and Accha himself claimed that he was a member of this organization. In one interview, Mehmet also said that Orlandi was being kept in a closed convent, wasn't in danger, but was still the group's hostage. Then, in the mid-2000s, an experienced prosecutor named Ferdinando Imposimato, I'm sorry if I mispronounced the names, but this prosecutor, who had a lot of expertise when it comes to the Grey Wolves, specifically, he said that Orlandi was likely kept alive and integrated into the Muslim community by this point somewhere abroad. He thought that, oh, she was probably smuggled somehow to France and integrated in the Muslim community there. But she would likely never return home. And in the Netflix's docuseries The Vatican Girl, which was released, I think, 2022, just recently, Pietro Orlandi, so the brother, says that he absolutely believed that the Vatican elite knows the truth behind Emanuela's disappearance. And then he was also backed by journalist Mark Lewis, who was investigating the case. And Lewis said that the most of the evidence is pointing at Emanuela indeed having been captured in order to blackmail the Vatican. So not necessarily by the Vatican employees or, members of the Vatican themselves. She was just kidnapped in order to strike the Vatican, kind of, and blackmail for some reason. Which leads me to the next theory, the organized crime group theory. So, years after the disappearance, which is in 2011, a man named Antonio Manitini, I'm sorry if I mispronounced it, but a man named Antonio Manitini, who was a former member of an Italian organized crime group, Banda della Maliana. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm sorry. So Antonio said that Banda della Maliana, was responsible for Emanuela's kidnapping and, was responsible for this kidnapping and more incidents meant to strike against the Vatican. But why? So he said that the Vatican actually owed the organized crime group Maliana a lot of money, which they acquired. They basically, Maliana loaned a lot of money to the Vatican through the Italian bank, which is Banco Ambrosiano, by cooperating with the banker and the former chairman named Roberto Calvi. Roberto Calvi was actually often dubbed God's banker because of his very close association with the Holy See and with the Vatican and the Vatican Bank. Banco Ambrosiano collapsed shortly before Orlandi's disappearance back in 1982. And in one of the biggest political scandals in Italy, this bank collapsed. A lot of people were angry. You can probably look it up. I wasn't looking it up like that deeply, but there was a huge scandal. After which, actually Calvi had fled Italy on a fake passport on June 10th, 1982. And he took a private plane from Venice to London, UK. And then on June 18th, 1982, so within a week, Roberto was actually found hanging from the scaffolding of London's Blackfriars Bridge. And he had 5 bricks in his pockets. He was hanging off the bridge and he dead. Was it a murder or was it a suicide? We don't know. It was very likely a murder. And this case is pretty much still unsolved as well. Mysterious death. I could talk about this more, but it would have to be an entirely different case, a separate case, because it's another one of those cases with a lot of plot twists and turns and very confusing information. So that's for another time. Okay, then there was Orlandi's connection with the gangster Enrico Pettis, one of the bosses of Banda della Maliana. So in 2008, a former mobster, Salvatore Sarnataro, confessed to the authorities and pointed his finger at the Pettis, so this guy, and then his own son, Marco Sarnataro, as the perpetrators in Emanuela's kidnapping. So Salvatore, Marco's father, said that everything was orchestrated by the Pettis and that Marco was ordered to tail the teenager, so basically follow Emanuela for days leading up to her disappearance. And on the day of Emanuela's vanishing, he said that the Pettis and Marco took a BMW car and kidnapped Emanuela from a bus stop near her school, then took her to Rome, some other district in Rome, before handing her over to another crime boss who was Sergio Virtu, apparently the Pettis' bodyguard. But that is where this trail ends. Salvatore said that he didn't know where Emanuela had been taken next. So he only knows the information from Marco up until that point. So like, oh, Marco was following her, then Marco and Enrico Iglesias. So no, Marco and Enrico then kidnapped Emanuela, then passed her to another person, and then the trail ends. So later, one of Emanuela's friends who saw her that day on the day of Emanuela's vanishing, she also picked out Marco Sarnataro from a lineup of photographs shown to them by the police. And they said that this was the man that they had seen following Emanuela and hanging around the school for the day, like for days leading up to the kidnapping. Another friend, referred to as Angelo R., also pointed to Marco's photograph and said that, he was very certain, said with, quote, a high degree of certainty, end quote, that this was the man who followed Emanuela around before the kidnapping. Mind you, this is the composite sketch or sketches of suspected kidnappers of Emanuela Orlandi, who are also rumored to be responsible for the kidnapping of another girl, Mirella Gregori, on May 7th, 1983. So a few weeks prior to when Emanuela disappeared. So that's like yet another case that was like very, very suspicious. There was like a bunch of kidnappings. Well, I mean, Emanuela and Mirella are the most like high profile, like well-known ones, infamous ones. But yeah, like in both of those cases, those two men are like allegedly the suspects. And one of those sketches definitely looks like Marco. I mean, come on, the one on the left, like it's definitely Marco. It looks so similar. But like obviously there wasn't like ever any 100% like hard evidence to prove that. So Marco was arrested anyway because he was a mobster. Why were they kidnapping her for the mafia again? Oh, because this mafia, like this organized crime group, which was the Banda della Maliana, the Vatican City actually owed them a lot of money. So the Vatican City borrowed a lot of money from Maliana, and then the bank that the Vatican was like using for that money or something, like it collapsed, and then where's the money? So like the Vatican owed this crime group like a shit ton of money. Allegedly. Also never proven, but allegedly. That's like another case. Okay, so in 2012, the Italian police decided to open the tomb of Enrico Pettis and take DNA samples in connection to Emanuela Orlandi's case. But no clues were found in the tomb that would link the Pettis to Orlandi, beyond the confessions of the former mobsters, and testimonies from Orlandi's friends. One strange thing that people are still confused and angry about in reference to the Pettis, which is like, this is the crazy part. So this is the strange thing. Like, people are still pissed about this because it's the fact that the Pettis, right? Like this mobster, the former boss of an organized crime group, a mafia, an Italian mafia, he was buried in the crypt of Basilica of Sant'Apollinar in Rome. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but this is apparently a very famous place, a place usually reserved for high-ranking figures like cardinals to be buried in. And here we have a high-profile criminal, a mobster, possibly behind the kidnapping of a young girl, and he's just laid to rest in that basilica. Because why not? Like, why? What was the reason? Was it, like, a lot of people believe that it was a way of the Vatican to pay back their debt to Banda della Maliana? I don't know. I mean, it's just weird. Why would this, like, criminal be buried in a place that is, it's considered, like, holy and also considered a great, great honor for, you know, for a lot of cardinals to be buried at, like, in. So, meh. Seems kind of sloppy to be noticed for many days in the place you're stalking for the plot of a kidnapping. Interesting point. Very sloppy. That's why it's like, oh, you know, was it him? I mean, the sketches are sketchy because it looks like him. So complex. Oh, it's so complex. So like this guy, you know, the guy who was, you know, again, allegedly responsible for the disappearance of Emanuela, like suddenly he's buried, like he dies and he's buried in this like high profile place that is reserved for, you know, high ranking, honored individuals. Yeah. Okay, so then there's this next theory that emerged when a childhood friend of Orlandi said that Emanuela had been sexually assaulted by, quote, someone close to the Pope, end quote, in the weeks leading up to her disappearance. And then when she finally confided in her friend, so when Emanuela actually told her friend about the assault, she vanished a few days later. So there are rumors claiming that Emanuela was taken by a member of the Vatican police for sex parties because there's this whole other can of worms that, you know, there's like this conspiracy theory that there is a sex ring in the Vatican or connected to the Vatican City or within the Vatican City, and a lot of cardinals are involved, a lot of priests are involved, like everyone there is involved, and they traffic, like human traffic minors, human traffic women, and just, you know, they do throw those orgies or whatnot. This is a whole new case, like a whole other case, but there is a lot of conspiracy around it. I mean, we've seen those scandals, you know, we've seen a lot of scandals connected to the Catholic Church, which are like most often than not, like they are either sex scandals or pedophilia or something like that. So there is a grain of truth in that theory. Okay, so apparently she was kidnapped for sex parties. She was kept captive for several months or years, and then she was murdered. Another rumor has it that after the sexual assault incident, Emanuela was taken and sent to a London-based convent to keep her quiet about the whole thing and never return her to Italy. And here's the thing, because it's not entirely just a rumor. In the Netflix's documentary, The Vatican Girl, a leaked Vatican dossier, which is a compilation of documents regarding a particular person, event, or subject. So these leaked documents showed mysterious expenses related to a girl's stay in a London convent for 14 years. And apparently it is the expenses, those are the expenses related to Emanuela. So this is, you know, apparently this is her. I don't know how true those documents are, but, you know, there is something, you know, it's not just like, oh, we're talking he said, she said, you know, there are papers for that. Okay. And then in 2013, the newly elected Pope Francis met with Pietro Orlandi. So this is Pietro Orlandi with Pope John Paul II. I couldn't find another picture with like Francis. But the newly elected Pope Francis met with Pietro Orlandi briefly. And Pietro actually recalls that meeting and recalled something very, very disturbing that happened during that meeting. Because Pope Francis at one point told him, quote, Emanuela is in heaven, end quote. How would you know that? Why would you immediately say that Emanuela is dead? How would you know? Like, Emanuela is younger than Pietro. She wouldn't just, you know, she wouldn't die of natural causes. So how would you know that she was murdered? So Pietro said in an interview that the Pope's words, quote, froze my blood, end quote, and then followed with, quote, to hear a Pope say Emanuela is dead, end quote. After that one brief meeting, Pietro actually tried requesting another audience with the Pope, mainly to ask him about those words and further, ask for further explanation to what Francis meant back then. But interestingly enough, despite the fact that his family was so close to the previous pope, was very committed to the work at the Vatican, suddenly, and he met with Francis, suddenly all the attempts came to nothing. Like, he couldn't meet with the Pope anymore. Nothing. Like, they would always refuse. Suspicious. Okay. How would you know? That's what I'm saying. Like, why would the Pope say something like that? I mean, I don't know. Like, even if you're familiar with the case, you wouldn't just assume, oh yeah, she's 100% dead. When there is no indication that this actually happened and she's dead. There was like, the rumors were kind of equal. Like, oh, some rumors said that she was murdered, some rumors said that she was kidnapped and trafficked somewhere else outside of the country. Why would you say that she's dead? Okay. Sunny Rainy Day says, that's a gotcha moment. Usually at this point in the movie, the good guys win, but in real life, bad people have power. Absolutely, yeah. Like, I think it's very unfortunate. Like, I wish it was like in the movies, like, oh, a gotcha moment, and then everything unravels and the bad guys are put in prison. I'm not saying the Pope is the bad guy. I don't know, but there's something suspicious about this whole interaction, about this whole case. That is messed up. Yep, it is. She's in heaven. The fuck you mean she's dead? She's in heaven, like having a good time, chill. What the fuck does that mean? No. No further explanation. Very suspicious. Very suspicious. Okay, so then in the summer of 2018, the Orlandi family received an anonymous tip which contained a picture of an angel sculpture and then an instruction to, quote, look where the angel is pointing, end quote. So they concluded, the police and the Orlandi family concluded that the angel is actually pointing to two tombs inside the Teutonic cemetery. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. I'm sorry if I mispronounced it. But yeah, so this angel was pointing to two tombs inside the Teutonic cemetery. When people found out about this tip, they started to rally for the Vatican to open the tombs and investigate. And so in 2019, the Vatican finally agreed to exhume the contents of the tombs. So those tombs were meant to contain, like, for as far as the Vatican knew and the people knew, those two tombs were meant to contain the remains of two princesses. One was Princess Sophie of a long name, Hohenlohe, Waldenberg, Bartenstein. I'm sorry, this is a long name. And the other one was the Duchess Charlotte Frederica of Mecklenburg-Schwerin. I don't know how to pronounce these names, but yeah. Anyway, two different princesses. So their remains were supposed to be in those tombs. But plot twist, they were not. So the results of exhumation were shocking because the remains of both princesses were not found in the tomb, and neither was Emanuela Orlandi's remains. So, like, people were obviously hoping that this was a clue to find Emanuela's body. But there was nothing in the tomb. So now the Vatican had to launch another investigation into where the fuck the Duchess and the princesses, like the princess remains, had been moved to, because they were gone. And during that investigation, there were so many twists and turns, with various bones being discovered in different places within this, the cemetery area and the Teutonic College area. Dozens of remains, like unknown remains, were discovered in 2019, and those are currently being investigated in order to hopefully find a clue about Emanuela, find a clue about the missing princesses, like what is happening. suddenly there's a shit ton of bodies being discovered in this like supposedly holy place where, you know, only the honored were supposed to be buried too. But here we have another mystery, like whose bodies are those? And then on January 9th, 2023, the Vatican announced that it would be reopening Emanuela's case, you know, after much pressure from the public, with the intention to re-examine every piece of evidence and documentation, hoping to find new information in this case and hoping to get another breakthrough, maybe find Emanuela's body or maybe locate Emanuela if she's alive. But that is it. That is the end of this case. I fucking hate it because it was so messy. And there's more, you know, like there's so many, I don't know, there's so many like plot twists that we can actually explore. I'm messing up words already. But yeah, you know, there's so many kind of paths in this case that we can explore. But it's still so messy, and everything is based on circumstantial evidence so far. So let's hope that the investigation that was recently reopened is gonna bring some conclusion. Okay. Sunny Rainy Day says, that's a good point, Ivan. Wait. I just didn't see. Tyrant, devil advocate here. Oh wait, devil's advocate here. He's a dude. Talk about God all the time. So wait there. Oh, you mean the Pope? Yes, the devil has to help out the Pope. Oh, okay. So I guess like comfort. Yeah, maybe like trying to comfort the family like out of habit. Probably like they just said like, oh, if she's dead, she's in heaven or something like that. But he just didn't say it in the best way possible. How do we know they didn't clean out the tombs in advance? That is true. I mean, it didn't seem like the tombs were disturbed. I mean, I guess like that's at least that's I didn't have information about like, oh, whether or not the tombs looked like they've been recently disturbed. So if they weren't, then that means, oh, you know, the princesses should have been there, but they weren't. So missing princesses too. Someone got fired. Oh, definitely. And Aaron, hi! Thank you so much for tuning in, even though it's basically like the end of this case. Maybe they had a girls' night out. A lot of bodies had a night out, apparently, in that cemetery. That's a good point, Ivan. But the Pope is also the head of bureaucracy. He would probably be over-informed about people, and that's why suspicion is warranted, and he needs to speak to a journalist. Yeah, I think it was just strange. To me, it was just strange. Like, it could have been a slip-up. Like, oh, completely innocent slip of the tongue. Like, oh, you know, I'm just gonna wish them well. I'm just gonna say, like, oh, if she is dead, she's in heaven. But then, you know, the PR team realized, like, oh, you shouldn't have said that. We can't meet with this person anymore, or something. Or maybe it was something more suspicious and, you know, darker. Okay. Damn, this was a lot to process, especially the timeline. It's a lot. I kind of gave up much later in this presentation because it was so messy. I was just like, you know what? Later it's more like, oh, 2018, 2019 kind of breakthroughs and new information. It is too much to process. So you guys, I encourage you to watch the Netflix documentary, The Vatican Girl. I was going to watch it. I haven't finished it yet, but yeah, like I encourage you. Apparently they have more and more information. Like I watched a part of it and it has a lot of information. There's more. So you guys definitely give it a watch, and you know, there might be more. There might be more. They definitely have more than I could talk about here because there's so much I can dig up. But they have, like, you know, interviews with people involved. So I probably couldn't like relay everything well. The documentary is definitely much better for that to kind of like go deeper into the case. But yeah, you guys, jokes aside, I think the mafia is the more likely culprit. Yeah, to me it could have been like, because there's this other disappearance of Mirella Gregori, which was like May 7th, 1983, so like a few weeks before Emanuela. It could have been a human trafficking organization, like ring, just crime group. I don't know, like to me it's kind of more likely. Like I would be more likely to believe that, like, oh, because those two young girls disappeared within weeks of each other and there's no like indication of like a body, like murder anywhere. It's, I don't know, to me it's like, it just sounds more plausible that they were trafficked. I mean, I hope not. I would wish the best for the family, and I would wish that both of the girls would return home like safe and sound, but unfortunately it doesn't seem so. It's been 40 years. So we will see what the new investigation is gonna tell us. Dude being disappeared like that is a terrifying thought. What? The documentary sucks. I didn't understand crap from it. Oh, okay. Just watch Sona's video instead. It's better. Oh, okay. I see what you're doing. Yeah, obviously. Obviously, my mini documentary here is so much better. You guys should watch this. Don't go watching Netflix. Unsubscribe from Netflix. Subscribe to my channel. So much better here. Another great stream, Sona. I love it. Thank you. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please take a second to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and check out my other true crime cases, other videos, live streams, and so on. And I hope to see you here next time, which is gonna be on, I believe, Wednesday. So this Wednesday, now I'm gonna take 2 days off because I am fucking tired of this case and of like like figuring out the timeline. It was a mess. It was a lot of information. I am done. I need sleep for the next 2 days. So I'm gonna take a break for like a day and a half, 2 days, and then I'm gonna work on the future, like the upcoming streams. On Wednesday, I do have another Fuck This Game stream, which is, yeah, this is exactly what I need after taking 2 days break and after a complicated case which tired me out. That's exactly what I need. The next thing I need is annoying game, to play annoying games and just smash my desk and having to buy another one because I'm gonna destroy my desk. But yeah, so there's gonna be another Fuck This Game stream. Then there's gonna be a Storytime stream or Bioshock stream. Then there's no, sorry, not Storytime, Scary Story or Bioshock, but most likely Bioshock. I'm just gonna play Bioshock on Thursday. On Friday, I do have a Storytime stream coming up, which is gonna be my, story, just personal life Storytime, funny stories, drawn in with, accompanied by cartoons drawn by yours truly, moi. And then we will have a Patreon stream. I haven't decided between true crime and drunk history. I don't know, depending on what I feel like covering, most likely drunk history. And then we will have another true crime stream here on YouTube on Sunday as usual. Bioshock, I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited because I'm like a sharpshooter in that game. I don't know why, but this is the only game that I can shoot someone in the head with like one shot. People were impressed. Be amazed by my skill. Sorry, I'll be more quiet. No worries. Why not both? I mean, could be. I would die. Okay, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. Stay safe out there. Always lock your doors and windows. Bury your hexes. And until the next time. Bye.